So, good evening, everybody. Good evening. This show is about all our memories and a little bit of fiction as well.
On the third floor. The bed was built from hardwood flooring. There was a down quilt on the bed and a closet to the left. In the closet, the Cocker Spaniel snored. It was a comforting sound. The window had white linen curtains. In the summer, I could hear the neighbors shouting. Sometimes they were saying nice things. Inside the closet were all of his clothes. Underwear was on the floor. On the back shelf behind the bed was an ashtray with Marlboro cigarette butts in it, and my diaphragm was in the corner. It was late at night when I went to bed. The jazz was coming from the first floor all the way up.
I grew up in a lonely modern house in the mountains of California in a lonely room with glass windows on either side. If I looked out one window, I could see a huge mountain. If I looked out the other window, I could see my mother's tree. Many times I just had my blinds drawn there with sunflower buds. I closed them so I didn't want to see any of it. I wanted to see none of it. At night, when I was lying in my bed, I had a nice, cozy bed. I could hear the coyotes howling. I could hear my dog whimpering. Under my bed, I could hear my mother screaming. Ah! And then I hugged my dog. And I felt safe.
I had the most unique ceiling in my bedroom because it was an attic and the roof sloped like this, making the room look much bigger than it really was. And in the corner I had a table that was from one of those old telephone cable things that took up a huge amount of the room. But it was so sturdy, I could put anything on it, and it was just so secure. And the bed was just a single mattress because the ceiling was too low to put a bed spring underneath it. But it was still so comfortable and so cozy and so unusual because the colors were purple and pink and white trim and just so comforting to me.
All together.
I love my dog. That's such great stuff. This was my room. This was my room.
Thank you.
First time I drove a car was stick shift in Florida in 70, somewhere in that era. A Nash Rambler with station wagon. You know, and I'm so glad I learned on a stick shift, but let me tell you, the clutch and the brake were not my friends. So I had several lessons in a parking lot where I would go about a
The
half a mile.
first time I fell in love was with my husband. I went swimming at Mills College pool. He was standing there behind a redwood tree, waiting for me in the summer of 2013.
My first glass of alcohol was in 1972. It was brandied cherries. We got into them in the basement. Me and Danny G and Carlo. It took me away.
My first cigarette was at Cedarbrook Park, 1968. Lori, Kathy, Wendy, we took our bikes inside the bush, took a smoke, and we were scared.
My first time in a foreign country was in 1972 when my first husband and I traveled to Ireland to meet up with our friends. And then we went to France and we were camping in the countryside and we needed to purchase groceries. We had nothing to make breakfast with. So we drove down the street down a road to this little store, and I looked around and I couldn't find any eggs or milk. So I asked the shopkeeper, "Excusez-moi, où est les œufs? Où est le lait?" And he motions me over to la fenêtre, the window, and points down the road. So we look at each other and we shrug and we get in the car and drive down the road, and there's a farm right next door. And we ask the farmer, "Où est les œufs? Où est le lait?" And he takes eggs from underneath the chickens, and there's our milk.
My first lie, 1972, college campus. I'm in high school. Michael. Yeah, I've done this before. Luscious.
My first concert, July 1976. Holly Brown, Foxborough Stadium, Massachusetts. Awkward, groping sex afterward.
My first kiss, Detroit, kindergarten, or maybe first grade, the late 40s, Doug Caddy. And we were girlfriend and boyfriend. And we decided that on the last day of school, in June, we could kiss, and we did. And then we each went home to our houses.
My first party, age 11, Crane Country Day School. 60s, floral dress, patent leather shoes, so excited. No one asked me to dance.
The box, Donald, Jimmy, and Sally.
of getting my passport. The chance was a chance to work with the Flying Act in Europe, but you had to audition. And first I flew to Detroit, and I did the practice swings and the tricks they asked of me, and I ended up with blisters. I mean, when your hands rip, that's what happens. It's like a blister if you're shoveling and stuff, snow or something. So that was like February, and because I knew it was in Europe, and I didn't even know you could get a passport. I thought you had to get one if it was a government job or something. So anyway, I did get my passport, and I went to the Kennywood Park in Pennsylvania, which is where we were jumping off from and practicing before going over there. But the leader of the trapeze group is 8.5 months pregnant. So they needed to have 3 girls, because if you make a contract to work a circus job in, excuse me, in Europe, you better show up with 3 girls. So they got Chada, and they got Kathy, and they have myself, and we were supposed to be the 3 girls. And I was sort of like, I was like a reserve. They had somebody else in mind just in case, but they said come and practice. So we practiced 2 months, and we worked at Kennywood Park, right next to the Jackrabbit. And you ride, that's a roller coaster, and you ride that to test your hairpiece. So Chada and Kathy are both from California, and they both have boyfriends. Well, the boyfriend showed up and decided, nope, they're not letting their girlfriends go to California, and would not give Billy their passports. And it was like this fight evolved. But in the end, I got to go to Denmark for 2 months, and it was amazing.
I cannot believe you've been doing this for 40 years, traveling all over Europe. You're magnificent.
It's been wonderful.
Tell me, what motivates you?
Well, I'll tell you, I wasn't really sure when I was young, but this job appeared,
Yes.
and I knew that I was very limber and very, very adventurous. And I thought, why not try? And I had to train. And when I went to training, I loved it.
That's a beautiful story.
I was a natural, and I can't believe I'm still able to do it.
May I say,
And I love doing it with you.
yes, you're still so beautiful and so fit, and I just love working with you as your partner. Grab on. Ready?
Ready.
1, 2.
And sing! Now it's come to point. Le contrepoint. Wendy, Hilary, Peg, John, Sally, Marianne. Just stand in front of the stage. Stand up. Yeah. Remember. Stand.
I was 15, and on a bicycle trip, we started in Philadelphia, and the whole way we were telling people that we were going to ride up the Skyline Drive. And when we told people that, they couldn't believe that we could actually ride our bicycles all the way up that windy big mountain to the very top. My friend Renee and I thought we were so cool and in such good shape. We had been biking for a week, maybe 2, when we got to Front Royal, Virginia, and it was time to begin biking up Skyline Drive. We took our Peugeot bicycles, mine was yellow. We got them all ready, and then we stuck out our thumbs and hitched a ride to the top of the mountain.
The first time, the only time I took my daughter back to China, she was 12. It was the most courageous thing that I have ever done, ever. When we were on the airplane, she said, "Mama, everyone has black hair." Among the things that we did, we went to the Chengdu Panda Preserve, and you could pay quite a bit of money to hold a toddler panda. So Mimi got to hold a toddler panda. She told me afterwards it was very smelly. It was large. And to calm the panda down, they gave it honey and apples, not the standard bamboo, and it choked because it was gobbling it down. In later years, Mimi would choke a number of times because she was gobbling her food.
When I adopted my daughter at 12 years of age, I had no idea what we were getting into. This was a new phase of my life. I'd never really had to take care of kids of any age before. Well, I'd worked in the schools for a little bit, but kids, especially teenagers and preteens, don't come with a training manual. And so it was hit or miss. And we went through some very rough times. But the first time she called me Mom, I knew this was meant to be forever.
When I think back to my youth, I'm reminded of my friend Wendy. We would do the craziest things. We would set ourselves up for things that were seemingly impossible and then realize that they were. I remember the ride that we tried to do, and when it didn't happen, we put out our thumbs and we caught the next ride to the top. And having that power of putting my finger out and just being able to catch a ride opened up the world of possibilities. I remember it just inspired me to think, I can do anything, I can go anywhere. And it opened the world up for me. That next summer, I went to Europe, and I hitchhiked all the way through Greece.
My mom wanted to take me back to China, where I'd been born. But I didn't really know what that meant. And I was kind of afraid. And I'd also never been on an airplane, and I was kind of afraid. I think I had been on an airplane, but I didn't know it because I was too young. And my mother was all excited, and she was so happy she was going to bring me here. And I couldn't tell her that I was really afraid because I didn't understand where we were going or why we were going, and I was afraid of the airplane. But she was my mommy, and she took really good care of me. So I was afraid, but I knew I didn't really have to worry because she was always there for me.
I was in a foster home for a really, really, really long time. Really, really, really thin blankets. They were gray, kind of shredding. It was cold. I got moved around a lot from orphanage to foster home to orphanage. I was on a lot of lists. And I'd meet the people and smile and shake hands, because you had to do that in America. But I had mixed feelings about leaving home. So I don't think I smiled that well, or with that much heart. And then my mom came. I get goosebumps thinking about it. My mom came. She thinks, we've talked about it. She thinks we're not, like, we had hard times, and she puts herself down, because it was hard, and I wasn't so nice. But I got the nicest down purple comforter now, really fluffy and warm. And I took it with me to my new apartment with my mom. She came for dinner the other night.
Yeah, great, thank you. That is another box with Jim, Peg, Hilary, and Donna.
This is a yellow beach shovel, a very small one.
Cheers. It's okay. See, I'm trying to listen to him.
Reminds me when I was 5. I was going to say 6, but I was 5 years old. Strawberry Beach, Narragansett, Rhode Island. I was floating on one of those styrofoam surfboards. I loved going to the beach, riding the waves in, all the way to the sand, and then picking it up and running back through the crashing waves to gain some speed again. Well, on this occasion, I floated out beyond the waves so that they weren't carrying me in. And things got a little blurry at this point. I remember bumping up against these rocks, these rock formations in the ocean. And suddenly, my father, who was very distant in my life when I was a kid, before and after this event, he was an intermittent alcoholic. He would drink for weeks at a time and then sober up for 2 years at a time. And then I think he would be embarrassed during those 2 years of sobriety and would stay away from his youngest boy, me. But on this occasion, I felt his strong arms pull me close to him. He wasn't a strong swimmer, but somehow he managed to get out there over his head, definitely over my head, and bring me back to shore. And although I may have some regrets about our relationship, that man saved my life.
Daddy, I want to go swimming. I want to go to the beach, Dad. I want to go to the beach.
Are you sure that you can swim in this kind of water?
Yeah, I can. I'm good, I'm cool.
Jim, you have to remember to be careful.
Okay, I will.
Don't go over your
Scout's
head.
honor.
Yes. Stay where you can touch your feet to the ground.
I think he's in trouble.
I think you're right. I don't swim that well, but I'm going after him. If I don't come back, send a lifeguard.
I will.
I see, thank you. This is another box with Sally, Lisa, and Marian. Yeah. It's Sally, yeah. Yummy.
Well, this conjures up really isn't until I'm about 16. Had a sweet 16 party, and got some gifts, and they were like a little more grown up than gifts I had gotten before. And it was the first time that I'd ever had perfume of any kind, but I didn't really know when or how to wear it. Like, I just put a little bit on because it lasts a long time. And it took me a long time to learn that.
Hun, what do you think about getting Meredith, I don't know, little perfume for the 16th?
Well, I kind of like it myself.
That's what you do. That's what you do. You're 36. She's 16. We want to celebrate Meredith.
Well, that means maybe she'll smell sweet, and maybe I won't smell so sweet with you.
You're worried about that?
Well, I don't know. I don't want her to be 16. I don't want her to be 16. That's all. I don't want her to be 16. I don't.
You're fine just how you are for me, hun.
But that means she's growing up.
It does mean
And it means
she's
I'm getting
growing up.
older.
Yeah, and so am I. Perhaps this could be like you moving beyond how you were at 16 and like a corrective experience almost. Let's just
Enjoy it.
enjoy it, enjoy her, let's guide her.
Okay, honey.
Do something different this time.
Okay. Her sweet 16 and my sweet 36.
Her sweet 16 and our daughter turning 16. Together. We do it together. And we let her go. Yeah.
And see. Hey. This is not chocolate.
We need
My mother came to live in my town when she was very old with dementia. And every Monday she needed to have her hair done. It was all about her hair. And every Monday, when she was done, we drove past the chocolate shop in town. It had a big chocolate sign.
When I was 14, I got my first job
I said, you could have hot chocolate.
working at Coca-Cola
next week.
in Berkeley.
You could have chocolate
We sold
next week.
so many truffles.
I
So
We made
much
a chocolate
chocolate
cake for my
gâteau.
mother's
You can
birthday,
have
a
chocolate.
surprise. I was
Before
8,
I went
I will
home.
bring you there,
but I put
not
icing on it,
today,
and
Mom.
I went
So much
crazy with the
chocolate.
food
Next
coloring.
time.
And
And it
cake.
turned
Once I
into
started,
I
chocolate.
promise.
teeth felt like they were wearing
You
sweaters.
have
box.
chocolate. We don't really have
Chocolate. And that's the best thing about chocolate.
So, another box with Marianne. Marianne.
It's just car keys. I'll just say it the way it is, because that's what we're here to do. I think this is a story about love. Yeah. Yes, I'm sure I want to carry on, and it might not be comedic, but it's about love. Okay? My son Nathaniel died in a car accident 4 years ago, and that's said. And what I'd like to share, as part of his death, I suppose, is his love of driving. And his love of driving fast. But what it also takes me to, now that I'm a little bit warmed up with that, is buying my son Nathaniel his first car. Seattle, Washington, whatever year it was, in the mid-90s, late 90s. And it was a VW Datsun in the Seattle area. And he loved that car. He made it. He made it a work of art, and it turned out in his side career later on, he rebuilt other cars. And now it's taking me to, I know this is going on, I apologize, but now it's taking me to my understanding from him that cars were works of art, and I never ever thought that way about cars. They just took you places. But when we picked up one of the cars he was working on at a friend's house, that friend cried when the car was taken away because it was finished yet, and the friend was helping him out, and it was put on a truck, a bed of a truck, and the gentleman was crying, yes, because his friend, my son, had died, but it was also because he didn't get to finish this work of art. And now I look at cars very differently.
What is this place?
It's misty. And I hear music.
How did I get here? I just remember going so fast. I just remember going fast.
You were going fast.
Where? But I'm not. I don't think I'm ready. I have such a full life. I have so much to do. I have so much to do. I'm so creative. I'm so creative. I have a lot of life to live. I have a lot. It's Mom. I think I miss Mom so much. I'm not even gone far, and all I can think of is wanting to hold on to her. She loved me so much. I have to go.
So now it's a memory of a couple with Lisa and Jill.
Is it on? On?
Yeah.
Should I tell it? Or you want?
Yeah, go ahead. I love it when you tell.
Okay. The first time we were intimate, she was 20. I had been in Houston for a year after college and had been traveling.
Honey, I was 19.
Okay. All right. So she was 19 and I'd been traveling and spending about 10 months in Houston after college because I wanted to find myself. But meanwhile, I'm missing this beautiful gal back home.
Jack, you told me that by the time I was 19 and we met, you had found yourself.
Yeah. Well, for that age, I had found myself. It's true. And then there was just more that I wanted to find. So I traveled, and I came back to this beautiful young woman, and let me tell you, I mean, she is hot today, but, you know, she was really, really hot when she was 19.
At that time, you used the word, oh God, what was it?
Hot?
No, foxy. It was really foxy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So, anyways, I was working at a bar. I was a bartender, and I after my shift was over, she had invited me to come over, drop over at her house. She was still living with her parents. So I sneak in the back door. She's got this little, kind of an apartment where the garage used to...
No, you didn't sneak through the back door, hon. I had a room with a porch on the outside, but I was on the second story, and I had a fire escape rope, and I let it down for you. That you got off your skateboard and you climbed up the rope into my room.
Okay.
Remember?
Yeah, okay. So, anyways, I'm in her room, right? And she greets me with this big, massive hug, just wraps her arms around me. I feel like we're one, and just mushing into the softness in the front of her body, and she's mushing into the hardness in front of my body.
Yeah, it was hard. You were hard. That was great.
And see.
Richie Parlato. I was in college, Burlington, Vermont. God damn you, you gave me crabs.
1978, Ashram, Lake Lucerne, Switzerland. Maharishi, fasting, no shoes.
Somewhere in the late 60s, moving to this country and learning about cornflakes. And you could tear it open and put milk inside with Susan Corbett, upstate New York.
$1959, first all-night party I went to, and I got somebody who was over 21 to buy me a bottle so I could bring it. Good thing I didn't have to be home that night. My parents thought I was spending the night at my best friend's.
College, Northampton, Massachusetts. Knitting in class. Take a little bit of the tedium away.
'68, my first job and my first cottage apartment to live in, hanging up my clothes.
(1978) junior year abroad in Switzerland, Europe on $3 a day, learning about other cultures, parle français. Boy, the hormones were flowing with those American boys and girls.
This last Monday night, Marianne put this on my pillow before I went to bed and said, "Yeah, you're a princess, but you're also Superwoman."
(1976), I was 16. I thought it was really, really cool to shave my legs. Until I lived in Denmark where nobody did.
Santa Barbara, California, Butterfly Beach, age 16. No need for these.
(1958) summer camp in Michigan at the Y Camp. We went on a canoe trip for 5 days. Boy, was that incredible, especially when we got stranded by the rain and had to sleep in a Boy Scout bus.
September 22, 2024, wondering if it would be okay for a guy to wear something like this, to dry my hair during the pandemic.
My first dog, Noodles. 1982. What a pain in the butt. Spring, 1973. My first joint.